I am recording. Ba ba ba.
I'm recording.
Oh yeah, I am
Ba.
recording. That's the order this goes in.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the 631st episode of the Pokemon Podcast. It's super effective. I'm your host, Steve. With me is Hannah.
Hi, I'm here. I'm not in Honolulu, but I am up past my bedtime. Hi.
Yeah. Hi. Bobby also here.
I'm also not in Honolulu. I am in a garage in San Diego because it is past my kid's bedtime right now.
And I am in Honolulu. As you can tell, if you're watching the YouTube version, I'm surrounded by stuff in Honolulu. I know that the Pokemon Company will be listening to this episode. They listen to a lot of episodes, and but they're probably definitely going to be listening to this one because it is the episode after Hawaii. So I'm going to get this out of the way. Just full disclosure: Pokemon Company paid for my flight and hotel to Hawaii. They gave me some merchandise. I've disclosed all that, and if I did buy merch on my own, I think I disclosed that as well. So if there is any disclosures, I'm always really transparent of like, did you buy that or was it gifted to you? So I think that's all the disclosures we have. Obviously, I really appreciate it. There's a lot that happened in Worlds this year, which we're going to be talking about. We're literally recording seconds after the final closing ceremonies. So not everything will make it into this episode because I'm on a time limit. I'm in the convention hall still. They got me a room to do this because they gave me a hotel room with the worst Wi-Fi imaginable, and also they just don't have Ethernet ports. I could spend the next hour talking about how Hawaii was great, but the internet situation here is not great. I don't know, maybe because an island in the middle of the ocean is not connected to anything.
Yeah, that seems like a big factor.
Yes. I don't know. I don't want to generalize Hawaii altogether, but yeah, maybe.
No, I have friends there. The internet's bad.
Okay. Well,
okay. Got that out of the way. Hannah said it, not me. Yeah. We're going to talk about what they talked about in order, I guess, at the announcements, starting with Pokemon GO, which they showed off Morpeko, specifically in Go Battle League, and then they showed off that Gigantamax is coming.
They teased it.
They teased it, yes. So I don't know. Any thoughts before I ramble?
It's cool. I mean, I think we kind of figured it was coming anyways, but cool to see a teaser. Honestly, it gave me Cloverfield vibes with the whole like something big is coming because it's like that is
right. You're a horror movie person.
It was cool. I thought that the teaser for the Gigantamax was more fun than the whole thing for Morpeko. Sadly, I don't know, feel the same way, but yeah, I did. I'm glad that Morpeko's coming. To be completely honest, because been waiting for them to get the last mouse in the game, like the last Pikachu related mouse.
The last Pika clone.
Yeah.
The moment when we thought that it was just going to be news about Morpeko and nothing else was hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, the Gigantamax Dynamax stuff has been in the decks, has been in the game. We knew that was coming.
Yeah.
No date or anything about that. It's just sort of confirmation besides the anniversary artwork. So confirmation that it's actually happening.
Do you think the fact that she was trying to catch a Krabby and they were on the beach is like confirmation that Kingler is going to be like one of the first Gigantamax Pokemon?
I thought it was going to be a Kingler. I thought we were going to turn around and see a giant Kingler like coming down the beach. Yeah.
It was a cool trailer. I think the importance of Morpeko, and maybe I'm wrong because we're literally just recording this like seconds after everything ended. I could be wrong, but I think the relevance to Morpeko was the fact that it could change form in battle.
Yes.
And I think that is what's the huge part about Go Battle League. And that means that those other Pokemon that have form changes can maybe get reworked
But
Uh,
Morpeko's form changes based on battling, isn't it? Like even in the main series.
Yeah,
it
but like
changes
think of another
upon
Pokemon that
action.
changes form that's not in the game right now. Aegislash.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant ones that were in the game. I was going to say
Yeah.
this is the first one like that, but yeah.
I mean, I could imagine them doing it for Aegislash. I don't think there's going to be any retconning of previous forms. I mean, when they barely do any form changes to begin with in Pokemon Go. I think we have brought up a couple of times before that there are 2 or 3 Pokemon that you can actually change forms for, even though they made a really big deal about that when it was first announced.
Yeah.
So, it's more Peko. Most of the announcements were pretty battle related, which makes sense. It's Worlds.
Yes, I guess we can just get the elephant out of the room right now, and there was no ZA news. I have gone on record for quite a while saying that I don't think ZA is coming. Bobby and I had an argument about this, and I think the reasons are in hindsight, it's the same reasons I said, which is I think they're focusing on Pocket this year, which we now have a release date. We'll talk about that in a bit, and I think that I think all the announcements today were fantastic, and I think they were super good. And I think a ZA announcement would have been equally as good. I think that would have been fun, and everyone wants to see it, myself included. I just think that announcement would, one, overshadow what we just got, which I think everything we got was pretty good. And I think it would overshadow the winners. What they showed, with the exception of Pocket, was all competitive based to a competitive audience. And I think ZA doesn't need Worlds. It doesn't need the viewership of Worlds to do well on its own.
I mean, honestly, this felt like more announcements than usual for Worlds.
Yeah.
So already this was a good amount of stuff.
I think that I was kind of thinking of ZA and World is kind of like, if you are an Apple fan, you think of like WWDC, where you're getting the developer stuff, where you're getting announcements about one thing. It's not an iPhone event, right? Like Legends ZA is like the next big like game that's coming out.
The next iPhone.
That's going to be its
Pokemon.
own thing. They're not just going to make a small announcement at the end of something that has to do with something else that they're talking about entirely, which is a lot of it, like you said, was battle related, because you're just coming off of the World Championships of all the competitive stuff.
Yeah.
They're not just going to be like, oh, and also like, here's a game, like here's the next main game, like information right at the tail end.
Yeah. It's like, I get that people would be upset that there's no ZA, but I don't like.
It's not a surprise.
I just want. Yeah. I when it's ready, it's ready, right? Like, whether it's coming, July of next year, they show a trailer,
February
it's still going to come out in July or February. Yeah. I don't think so.
I'm getting more toward that as well, by the way. So.
More past February.
Yeah.
At this point.
They then moved over to, I think Unite was second on the list, if I'm remembering correctly. I think they showed 3 brand new characters: Ceruledge, Darkrai, and Psyduck. I think Darkrai and Psyduck were on the public test server just a couple days ago.
Got it.
And Psyduck is just like Pikachu, where it cannot evolve. I think that's the right choice. Psyduck is like super, super popular. Golduck, unfortunately, not. But
I mean, Golduck is still a pretty popular Pokemon, or at least a pretty cool Pokemon, I think. But definitely Psyduck is the one that I am the least excited about of the 3 personally. I liked Misty, and Misty's Psyduck was fun, but I like Armarouge, and I am hyped that Darkrai is a speedster.
Yeah.
I am a speedster person in these games, and so I'm actually very tempted to go in there in October when they are actually releasing a Ghost-type Pokemon. Or it's not Ghostly.
Ghostly, no, I understand
Halloween,
that. Yeah, Halloween-y
vibe Pokemon in October. And that's exciting.
Yeah. As someone who does not play Unite, I really like Psyduck's animation as it moves. that was about it.
I thought I thought it was interesting that, okay, so side tangent, but related to Unite is at Worlds, I had a meeting on my schedule that was like new Unite mode. It was like 6 p.m. new Unite mode. I didn't sign any NDA for it. There was nothing. It was just like, hey, do you want to play Unite with other content creators on Friday night? It was like the question was posed to me, and I was like, yeah, of course I would. Like, that sounds great. I don't know what it was going to be used for. I get there, and they were like, okay, we got to get you guys, here's some jerseys. I was like, oh, okay, cool. They gave us Unite jerseys, and then they said, okay, we need to go back and get photos of you because you're going to be on stage. And before I got there, when they said, hey, meet us at the stage, there's 2 stages in the World Championship arena. There's the main stage that has like all of them broken down with the monitors above, and then there's like a side stage where they were doing other like smaller Unite matches. I think they were doing loser bracket matches to get back into the main stage bracket. So I went to the side stage, and everyone's messaging me like, no, you need to go to main stage. And I was like, oh, okay. Again, I didn't know any of this. So I go to main stage. They're like, here's your jersey. We're going to take you in back for photos. So I see the entire back of the event. It is like a nightmare back there in like a production. Like, how is this being managed? There's so many people looking at so many monitors, and there's so many cables running everywhere. It was like impressively cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I think because I'm like a streamer, because people are so accustomed to watching like YouTubers or streamers, you're just like, oh, you're just at home on your computer, you press go live. We're all doing it right now, right? We're all just sitting in front of a microphone with a camera, and like some of us have little lights, and you just hit go live and you're live. This was like, I could like 500 different monitors, 500
it's an
different
entire production.
It's insane. It was so cool to see. So they then tell us at that point, after we get our photos taken, that we're going to be going up on stage because they're announcing a brand new Unite mode, and we're going to be playing the brand new Unite mode for the first time in front of people. Now, this mode is brand new, I guess, to everyone, but there is a public test server in China. Just like how Psyduck and Darkrai are in the public test server for us now. But this new game mode is in that public test server in China. It's been there for, I think, a couple of weeks. And it was that mode. It was instead of doing 10 minutes and whoever has the most points after 10 minutes wins, it is whoever gets to 500 points first wins, which is very League of Legends. If you're watching on YouTube and you're a League of Legends player, I would love you to comment below and tell me if you like this change. But they were saying that ultimately matches could now last 5 minutes, so they could be quicker matches, which is great, or they could go longer, which is also great, right? Like, a lot of people are like, if I just had another minute, or if I just had another, like, if we just had one more push, we'd be able to like win. So they were like 5 to 15 is like the new time with this 500 point mode. And they handed us these phones and they said, we're sorry, the game's only in Mandarin. And here are 4 Chinese players who only speak Mandarin, but that's okay because this one person will translate for you. So we're backstage. We're about to go on stage. They didn't tell us any of this. They hand us phones in Mandarin, and they're like, here are your teammates who only speak Mandarin. And they were like, you're going up in like 15 minutes. The mode, incredibly fun. I want to talk more about it, but obviously we're on a time limit today. But I will say, that was the greatest game of Unite I've ever played, only because even though there was a language barrier, I knew exactly the entire time what I needed to do or what they were doing. They knew 4 English words. They knew ugly. So ugly was like, that Pokemon's bad, or like bad. So like Buzzwole, ugly, ugly, ugly. So we always like, they didn't like Buzzwole at all. Greninja, ugly, ugly, ugly. Like no Greninjas. They knew good, they knew okay, and then they knew beautiful. And beautiful was mostly like amazing. So like we would like score a goal and they'd be like, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay. Their energy of playing this game with us on stage and never meeting them was so infectious. They were so funny the entire time. Like, again, language barrier, and they were definitely speaking Mandarin to each other, but like also being like, beautiful, okay, good. Like, it was so fun, and like we just got it. We just like clicked.
Yeah, that's wild.
That's incredible. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad it worked. to
Yeah.
begin with, but also that sounds so cool. And just up on the main stage.
Yeah, up on the main stage, and when you put those headphones on, there's like a buzzing that happens to like cancel out everything because they don't want like competitors to hear what the crowd is saying. And
Steve, do you not have noise canceling headphones?
I do. It was like I do
Okay.
but like a huge buzz,
Okay.
like crazy buzz.
That sounds
not
maybe
like
bad.
not like Apple headphones or like Beats headphones. Like I've had that like noise canceling. It was intense.
I'm confused as to whether the buzz is supposed to be in noise canceling headphones or not, because I don't have them in any of my noise canceling headphones.
I think you do. You might just tune it out. There's a low level buzz in every noise canceling headphones pair I've ever tried.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe you have them off on your AirPods.
Or everybody's brains and ears just work differently.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
or you've just worn them for so long.
I feel like I've felt them on older ones, but I've not, like on these ones, I've never heard a buzz on these when I turn on the noise canceling mode on them. But
these were strong. These are strong buzz. ugly. Yeah, so we'll probably have to have Greg on because I want to hear Greg's thoughts, and then I have so much to talk about. This entire episode could be me going backstage and talking about Unite. It was such a cool. I guess you don't have to sign an NDA when they don't tell you literally anything.
And when they're announcing the mode the next day or 2 days later.
They announced it literally right before we went on stage. So they announced it and then we went on stage. Yeah, immediately.
Perfect.
So like they're briefing us as they're like, we're about to play the trailer, by the way. Also, like just a side note, like I didn't even think about like the language when I was actually playing, which is kind of like cool. Of like I played a United. They obviously the new mode has changed and there's like new abilities and stuff and new held items. But like once I was in it, it was just like, yep, you're just clicking buttons. Like the muscle memory just like went on. So like the Mandarin wasn't like that big of a barrier once I was playing, but it was a cool experience.
You have played enough Unite that worked out pretty well.
Yeah. I think Unite is really cool, and I hope that this helps get people back in. Like Unite is such a fun game to watch, but I totally understand why people are like, I tried it and it wasn't for me. It's a MOBA, like, and if you like League of Legends, you like Dota, it's probably really hard to pry you away from that MOBA. But eventually, I think they add your favorite Pokemon, and that's their opportunity to like capture you, right? That's like their chance for you to try it and like it. So I think they said spring of 2025 for that new mode.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting though that seemed like we're going to save this till the very end. So, but announcing it like mid-show was kind of cool, and then obviously they announced the 3 characters at the end. So yeah, lots of Unite news. Beautiful. Very good. Okay. It was fantastic. Probably one of my favorite moments of the weekend was just meeting those guys, and they were just fantastic people. They were so fun to be around. Pocket. I played Pocket. Play is a stretch.
Very limited demo.
Yes, but this morning they showed a trailer during, I think between like seniors and masters or something. They showed the trailer or maybe it was right after masters. They were like, Pocket's coming. They showed more of the game, and then in the closing ceremonies they showed the same trailer, but they added then the date, which now we know is October 30th for that. And playing it is, again, stretch. The demo station here, because it was literally open a pack of cards or open 2 packs of cards because it was very quick. There was no line. It was probably the only thing at the convention that didn't have a line. Like it did have a line, but it went so fast, right? Because you're just opening a pack of cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. When I say no line, it wasn't because people weren't interested. It was just a very quick experience. There was no games or anything to play. So, They had two big TVs set up. They were like touchscreen TVs. I did 2 videos on Unite on like Instagram and TikTok of like the big TV and then just the phone. Obviously, the phone experience was much better. It looked better. It ran better. The touchscreen was more responsive. Like, it's just, I get why they did the TV. It was just like a bigger eye-catching experience to get you in. But I did both. It was the same experience. I will say, I think the packs were, I don't think there was a lot of variety in the packs. I think there were, I think it was like maybe 10 different packs because like a lot of people were getting Articunos or Gardevoirs. It's like, oh, we're all kind of getting the same stuff. But the little animations were really cool. The one thing, there was two things I noticed that I didn't see other people talking about. When you're swiping through which pack you pick, you can also just turn the pack around. And then if you open it from behind, you can actually just look at the rare first and then skip all the other cards. These are 5-card packs. So like Japan, I think that's like final, right? I don't think we saw in the trailer that it was going to be like a 10-card American pack.
I think it was supposed to, I think 5 cards seemed like what it was supposed to be. Like when I saw you opening it, I thought like that makes sense. The 5-card pack.
Yeah, and so that was like the little trick was like you could technically open faster by spinning it around. You can like move the cards around to like see the reflection, which technically PTCGO kind of did that, where you could like sway them back and forth to see the sparkle. And then with the like more fancier cards, there's almost like a 3D effect when you move it. And then with the like Pikachu card that they showed in the first trailer, you can replay that entire animation just by tapping and holding on the card for a second, and then it will like go back into it, which is really
the immersive
cool.
one.
Yeah, cool. The immersive cards. I think Pikachu was the only immersive card at the show. Again, I think there was really only like 10 different packs you could technically open.
Well,
they teased the Mewtwo one though.
Yeah, they did,
which looks really cool.
That looked really cool.
When you open a pack, is there tactile feedback? Like, does the phone buzz?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, nice. There was a little vibration to it, and there were little noises and chirps, and I think DNA is really good at that. If you've ever played Pokemon Masters, I think they've been pretty good at like the noise effect of a loot box. I didn't notice this until Bobby mentioned it. Until Bobby mentioned it like a week or two ago that like. I didn't think about it, and then when you said it, I was like, I noticed it more that there are going to be cards that just exist in that game that don't exist in real life. Like that Pikachu card and that Mewtwo card are not real cards. That's weird to say. They're not.
They cannot exist in real life.
They're like not real physical cards.
They could, just not in the same way. They just don't yet.
Sure. Yeah. But it's interesting because a lot of the cards, they're still illustrated by TCG artists. So if you look on the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store right now, you can actually pre-order the app. So you can go into the App Store, you can pre-order it. It'll then notify you when it is available for download. But if you look at the preview images, there are a few cards that I didn't see being opened at Worlds. So there's like an Eevee card that's in the preview images, and you can see that the artist of the card is Soso, who does many TCG like real cards. So I do wonder if they're going to have cards, if they aren't physical cards, if now they're going to have TCG artists who are also doing these cards that are only going to be digital as well. Because that would be, I don't know, I just think that'd be kind of interesting since like these artists do physical cards, and I mean, obviously digital artwork is a thing. It's not like it's not, but is it only going, like, are they going to turn these cards into real cards? Are there going to be some that are only in Pocket? Is there going to be a set down the road that is like Pocket themed in the in the real TCG?
I feel like I could definitely see that happening.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is that the cards, they're not like real TCG. They're not like they don't have as many moves on them, right? Like they have like one move, or they're not as I don't want to say they're not as complex. The moves aren't as complex as the real game, but the game is made to be quicker, right? The game is made to have quicker matches. So
like they have moves because they need to have moves because there is a actual battle mode, which they kind of showed more of.
Mhm.
And they mentioned that there will be like play mats you can customize or like get new play mats as like a thing. If you looked at the trailer, the bench was only 3 on the bench instead of 6 on the bench, or sorry,
Yep.
5 on the bench. It is, I've only like never playing Marvel Snap, but seeing Marvel Snap and then seeing this next to it, it's 100% Marvel Snap.
Yeah. I mean, they saw the success of Marvel Snap, and they saw that the Pokemon TCG app that they had out at so far was not that. So now they're making one that is that.
Yeah, and I think it'll do quite well, honestly.
Yeah, no, it looks great. I'm still a little bit, I mean, I guess it's coming out soon. They're really not showing the battles very much at all. And the fact that the demo at Worlds was so limited concerns me a little bit. That other Worlds demos have not been that limited. Pokemon Masters demo or Pokemon Scarlet and Violet,
Yeah,
no,
but
Sword and Shield demo.
Sword
really-
and Shield.
they've really focused on, from the beginning with Pocket, they've really focused on opening packs. They've really focused on collecting cards. And yes, there is a battle element to it. And I do think that that is going to be important. I don't think that's just some kind of like side thing.
Yeah.
But from the beginning, the whole, you open 2 packs, and they even mentioned, right, when there was like, you free to start, you can open 2 packs a day for free or something like that was how it even got started. But from the beginning, the messaging has been really focused on opening packs. And so I
Yeah.
understand, like, I'm not as worried about the fact that like the demo wasn't showing off more of the game, because from the very beginning, the messaging has really been focused on the opening and collecting part of the game.
And I
versus the
like that
battling.
focus because those are my favorite parts of the TCG. I don't play, I barely collect. I like looking at the art and opening a pack because it's fun.
Mhm.
But if they're trying to compete with Marvel Snap, they need to have the battles be a pretty big part of it. I feel like, I mean, I haven't played it, but I've seen people get very into it. And I know
Mhm.
collecting is a very large part, but so are the matches.
Right. Yeah, I hope that the battling is good. But I'm just saying, it doesn't worry me as much that they were focusing on the collecting aspect because of how much they've been pushing that in the marketing and everything kind of leading up to this. Versus like me thinking, oh, they're not showing it off because it's not good or like it's not ready or something like that. It just feels like it's like, well, this was kind of what we've been talking about, and we just kind of want to really show off the cards, right? You get to see the immersive Pikachu, things like that are, when you're doing a kind of a quicker demo, especially when you have lines of people coming through. Like you said, Steve, it was quick because lines of people could run through it, but it wasn't like it had to be a 5 or 10 minute demo. So I think that just made it, easier for that as well.
I wonder if DNA learned their lesson with Masters. I mean, like Masters at this point, there's tons of people who love to like battle in Masters and stuff, but like Masters battling went from really kind of like battle focus to this like multiplayer thing, and then they kind of like rolled back the multiplayer thing, and we've never really seen it again. And I remember there were YouTubers and there were other people in the space that were like, when are we going to be able to battle each other or battle real humans or like have like this lead, and that never happened. But I feel like the messaging around Masters was very much like the battle part, and then slowly over time it became more and more of a collecting stuff, with like the battling still being reworked, and like people do genuinely like it now. But it did switch, it did change direction, and I wonder if they don't want to make this same mistake where they don't want people to be like, the battling is important. Like, again, not that it's going to be like an afterthought, but I think they're saying the collecting here is important, like the collecting in Masters, because it makes us the most money as well, but also because like this is why you should be coming to the game, is to get new cards. And if you want to do something else, that's there. I think they're just playing it a little bit safer with the marketing of this, and I think marketing wise is good because it's really easy to get people to be like, do you want to collect stuff? The number one game right now is Monopoly Go, and that is just a collecting thing. And
Is
What?
there no
Whether you
actual
like
playing of Monopoly? All right, I don't
$200?
really care.
Mon- Monopoly Go is you literally just hold a red button and you can actually like just not even pay attention, and it's mostly collecting. It's at
Okay.
its core, it's the fear of missing out in completing, collecting, and sets, and that's fine.
And
There's nothing wrong with
I
collecting.
don't want Pokemon Pocket to be that.
Right. I'm just saying that like there are a lot of very popular games out there, like Marvel Snap, like Monopoly Go, that is easy for people to get into. The barrier to entry is so incredibly low, and then and they get in, they open packs, they feel good about it. Ideally, they spend more money. I'm sure there will be packs that are like this set is only available for the next 2 weeks.
Oh yeah.
And then all of a sudden you get 34 out of 35 cards and you're like, do I buy more packs? Do I try to find somebody to trade?
Mhm.
And I think that's cool. Like I genuinely think that's cool. Like I can imagine myself going to Japan and trading a Japanese Cramorant for an English Cramorant and be like, now I can start collecting this set. We still don't know if you have to be.
Will you be able to trade like and actually have different language cards traded to each
I think
other?
I
and
think
then
that's what they
have,
showed in the trailer, didn't they?
They showed different language
showed
cards, but like
yeah.
if my game is in English, will I be able to trade for a Japanese card or a simplified Chinese card or a Korean card?
I
In
would
my
assume
English
I want
game?
that.
That's a really
That
good
would be
question.
cool.
That would be really cool.
That would be really
Growing
cool.
up with Pokemon cards, it was always really cool to have even just one or two cards in any other language.
Absolutely. Even now.
I feel like they
Yeah.
have to know that, right? Like that has to be a thing, especially like
Yeah.
I remember being like a 12-year-old and my parents getting me a Japanese booster pack from like a friend of a friend, and like I thought like even though those cards were like nothing, they were just like a coughing or like a Ponyta, I thought they were significantly cooler
Oh,
than
yeah.
all of my English cards.
100%.
That would
I
be
don't know
really
where those
cool if
cards
they
are.
had it in Pocket, but I don't think I don't see that happening in Pocket, but it would be really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So why I don't see that happening is because of the battling aspect, and it could get a little bit confusing for the battling aspect unless it just
Unless they had
translated to
some
cards.
really
so then
good automatic translate thing that you
Which
could
they
just
could totally
tap on
do,
it
since
and
it's- yeah.
turn it from Japanese card into an English card. And then
I feel like we're like not giving them too much credit. We're like pushing it further than it's like.
it would just be cool.
It would be very cool.
I
It would be
would
very cool.
assume the
Yeah.
cards would be like Scarlet and Violet. Like if you have Flabébé, there's only one Pokedex entry for a Flabébé, but you can go left and right to see the different colors. So like you have the Cramorant card. It's the same Cramorant card for everyone, but you could go left and right to see
the Japanese
or the Korean or the
one.
Italian.
That would be cool. Yeah, that would be cool. That would be different than how it is in real life.
Yeah.
Cards. But that'd be cool.
There is not enough time in the world to talk about how there was a TCG trade room here at Worlds where I'll give people tune in next week where we'll spend an hour talking about this. But at every Worlds event or every big event like NAIC, there are usually people who bring like a suitcase and they will go to the venue. And if they can get a spot in the venue or right outside the venue, they will sit down, they will open the suitcase and they will say, this is for sale. And people will walk by and they will barter or trade. It's a lot of cards. And people come all over the world for this. Like people here in Yokohama, there were so many English people in Yokohama. There were Japanese and Italian people in London that are like, these are the cards I have. This is my business. I'm not here to watch matches. I'm not here to play Go. I am here to sell you Pokemon cards or buy Pokemon cards. And last year we talked about on this podcast how at Yokohama there was a big theft that happened on Sunday and the police were called, and all those people that sat there all weekend, they lined the halls in Yokohama. They were gone on Sunday. And I get it from like a corporation perspective. You probably don't want the police at your event.
Yep.
And also from like a safety perspective, you don't want your attendees to be getting stuff stolen at your convention. But even if it's not happening in the convention, down the street is not the convention, or around the corner is not the convention. So you really can't stop these people from showing up. So I did talk to a guy who had so Pokemon set up a dedicated room. I think there was a room last year too, but I never saw it. Also, last year was like a million times bigger than this one because one, we're on a very small island, and two, it's not Japan. But they had a room where you could ultimately do the same thing. And I was like, can you rent the tables here? Though they're like, the tables are free. You just kind of have to like fill out a form and set up shop. But there was no money, no Venmo, no PayPal, no actual cash could be exchanged in this room.
Oh,
so people could walk in the room and say, I want this $200 card. But now I have to come up with either $200 worth of merchandise or $200 worth of other cards to then initiate that trade in that room.
That's wild.
In that room, I saw people exchanging cash, even though I was told if we see you exchanging cash, we will not only kick you from the room, we will take your badge away completely and you will not get back in the building. So I want to talk more about that. But as a customer, as somebody walking through the room and seeing things, I was like, oh, that card, I would like that card. It's priced at like $5. I don't have anything to give you. I didn't know that you were going to be here. Like, I didn't bring a binder of cards. I guess I could go into the Pokemon Center and like buy a backpack and then come back and be like, if this backpack's worth more.
Yeah. Right. This is why money exists to some extent.
Yeah. So, and some of the people were like, yeah, I'm doing today in the hall. I'm doing tomorrow outside because I'm trying to get more stuff and I'm trying to see if this is working. But I feel like the Pokemon Company is so close to like making this a better solution, but also like a safer solution.
Yeah.
And I guess this can kind of transition. Again, we can talk about this next week, how Pokemon Center was a disaster, not from the Pokemon perspective. Like, you're never going to have enough merch for everyone. You're never going to be able to satisfy everyone's needs. Like, they made 750 Bear Walker skateboards, and they were really popular and really sought after. Making 1,500, I don't think solves that problem. Making 3,000, maybe, like, at that point, maybe no one cares because there's just too many, right? Like, supply and demand of items is very weird. Like, I don't know how you solve this problem, but everything around the Pokemon Center wasn't like the Pokemon Company's fault. Like, people were getting in line 3 to 4 hours early outside for their time slot. And other people would show up for their time slot and get in line behind all of these people that have their appointments not happening. And these people with the appointment, they'd get to the front of the line, and the people at the front of the line would check, say, what's your appointment at? They would say, oh, like 6 o'clock. Okay, it's 3 o'clock. Go to the end of the line. Like, we're not like, no one got in early at all. Like, there was the security here compared to other worlds was so heightened. And I think it was because of some of the issues at Yokohama that we talked about. There was a fist fight in the Yokohama Pokemon Center last year over a Bear Walker skateboard. That happened this year too, by the way. Like, there was multiple fights inside the Pokemon Center.
Anytime there are big crowds of people anywhere.
Yeah, it happens at Comic-Con.
It's just a human problem. Like,
yeah, right. That's why I'm saying I'm not trying to defend the Pokemon Company, but it's like, that's a human problem. That's not like their specific problem.
Right.
So, and there were people going up and down being like, what's your time? What's your time? What's your time? If your time is like 3:30, we're going to move you over here. If your time is 6 o'clock, get to the back, like, just leave the line. And even when these people were told, like, just come back at your appointment, we will send you up the stairs literally at your appointment time. That's why you have an appointment time. They wouldn't leave the line. It reminded me so much of the very first Go Fest, where Niantic, like, nothing worked at the first Go Fest. And then John Hankey got on stage and was like, we're really sorry. We're giving you all $100. We're refunding your tickets. Also, we fixed the game. Just leave the park. And there were hundreds and thousands of people in the park. I stayed in the park because I was interviewing people and I was shooting footage and I wasn't like really playing. So I was like, I'm in the park. I'm doing stuff. Like, I'm doing business in the park. And all of these people around me were just complaining that the game wasn't working. And they were so scared to leave. And when you hear of like the horror stories of the first Go Fest, it's these people that just refuse to listen. Like literally, if you go one block outside the park, the game will work flawlessly. Please leave. And they said multiple times over the announcements while I was in the park, please leave the park. Please leave the park. We promise the game will be better. And it's the same thing here at this Pokemon Center. Just come back at 4:00. You will go right up the stairs at 4:00. And all weekend, no one would leave the line, even though every 10 minutes they were checking time and telling people to leave and moving people away.
It's the same people from the first Go Fest. They all traveled to this world in Hawaii.
Definitely the same mindset. Was the line outside also in the sun?
Yeah, so there were no. The line was in this beautiful like shaded area right next to the canal.
That is at least good.
Yeah, and that's where the suitcases also lined up, because it was the front and the end of the Pokemon Center there. So you would line up outside for your time when it was exactly your time. So I went. I will full disclosure. I got in on Wednesday. The media, the press, and then Pokemon. It was like media, press, Pokemon staff got to shop on Wednesday morning. So I was part of that. Everything I bought in the Pokemon Center, I paid for. That YouTube video is up. Like I bought like up $300 worth of stuff. And I got everything I wanted, right? Like I didn't want the Bear Walker skateboard. I didn't really want a lot of clothes. I got everything I wanted. And then the next day, my friend had at like a 3:00, and we got there at 3:10. And I was like, I want to experience this. Because I get I'm privileged, and I get like, Steve gets everything he wants. He was able to do it. I was like, I want to know what a normal person who bought a ticket. A normal person sounds weird. I want
average
to know
attendee.
like
an
average attendee.
Yeah.
I want to know what an average attendee has to go through, because I think that's the fair way to like talk about this on the podcast. And we got there 5 minutes late. His appointment was at 3. We got there at 3:05, and right away they were like, "You skip this whole line. 3:00 already went in. Go up there." So we went in, we went all up all these stairs, and then they put us in a parking garage. This sounds really weird. So the second part of the queue was in a parking garage that they emptied out. And in the parking garage, they broke it into 4 sections. And that was the second part of the section. So it would be like, for example, section A would be 3:00, section B would be 3:15, section C would be 3:30, and then section 3. And so it almost kind of felt like we were cattle, because there was like gates they would open, and then we would move forward in the next section, right? Like 3:00 went in, so 3:30 moves behind it. 3:15 went in, so 3:45 moves behind it, and then they stock the back cattle. But because it was in a parking garage, 1, kind of smelled like a parking garage, and 2, it was kind of muggy. So that like if you walked in, you saw like 40 fans that were clearly purchased from a local Walmart, like fanning everyone, and then they were going up and down giving everyone bottles of water.
Got it.
A better experience overall than Yokohama. Because I don't think they were doing water at Yokohama. And Yokohama was like, you were standing directly in the sun until you got inside, where then they moved you into conference rooms. And then the conference rooms were air conditioning, but then they would move you into the Pokemon Center. So it was outside, parking garage. And then the final line that you got into, there was 3 lines. The final line you got into was where it wrapped around, and you could see like the Halloween merch. And then there was a photo opportunity in the middle of the line where because you're in a line, so when you got slowly moved up, you take a photo, and then Pikachu, and then there would be like Hawaiian dancers at the end of the line. So there was like music, and there was like Pikachu there, and there was like things to see in the final part of the line. And then you got into the Pokemon Center, and then people were fist fighting each other over a ukulele. It's
as you do,
as you would. I don't know if they added more security on the inside, but it was more lines on the inside, like lines for specific products like backpacks or like dice boxes. But the people in charge of the lines were like, if we see you push anyone, if we see you cut a line, if we see you be rude to somebody else, you will be escorted out of this with no merchandise at all. Like there was no tolerance for anything on the last day, which maybe they have to do that all 4 days. I'm not sure. Like,
or maybe it just got worse
if there
as time went on.
There are more fights breaking out, or just more problems happening throughout the weekend, then they have to start ramping up the enforcement of the rules that are probably there the whole time, but they're just,
but it's like the Van Gogh thing again.
And so.
Like the fact that you have to tell people like,
right,
don't run and trample over kids or families just because you want a backpack is like, just act like a good person. Just like I get that you're excited or you want this, but it sucks that like a couple people have ruined just like an experience for everyone.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough when you have these like pop-up stores, right? I mean, this is not here all the time. This is here this weekend, and there's all these people here, and and
they're doing so much merch, so they can't do what people do at, I think, concerts. I've never been to a concert like this, but the stands that have all the t-shirts and the sweatshirts and all of that, where you just go up and you talk to the person and you just basically order everything you're looking for. With the Pokemon store, there's just too much.
Yeah, you can't. You can't do that kind of stuff.
They had the bear walker skateboards and the ukulele like that situation, Hannah. You had to walk up to somebody,
separate, right?
Say what you wanted. They did a really good job with limits, like limit one, like that. That was the feedback I gave at Yokohama. It was the same feedback I gave at London. I was like, you need limit signs. Like when I went to London, I watched a guy reach in, scoop up as many Roselia and Pikachu plushes, and then walk to the door. When I got there in London, it was fully stocked. Literally that same day, completely empty. And the first thing I noticed in Yokohama when I walked through is like, I'm not seeing limits on anything. Like these things need limits. And when I walked in there, very obvious. Everything was limit 1 or limit 2. And that's how it should be. Honestly, like you should limit everything just to 1. And then if you have more and more stuff throughout the weekend, then you increase the limit. Like, we have too many Riolus. Let's increase the limit to 2 or 3 at this point. Like, because of course they want to leave this island without, they don't want to take anything back, right?
The goal is to sell everything.
Yeah, they need to sell everything. That's the point.
Oh, they definitely sold everything. That's
I'm sure they did.
When people think of like the number 1 media franchise in the world, the Pokemon Center is why. They went through everything. I think the Pokemon Center is just so cool. It's such a cool experience. Like the merch this year was really great. Everything was like fantastic. It's just like the only bad thing was the actual people, people being people.
Yeah, that is unfortunate.
And they're trying to work around that as best they can, it seems like.
Yeah, in a limited time frame, like in so much going on, it sounds like they really are doing the best they can, but humans are humans, and those things are going to happen. And if to be honest, if you only heard about it happening once, it's not like people were reselling Bear Walker skateboards all weekend, like. So it's like, oh, there was.
that was happening, but
that's not what I mean. Hold on, I'm making a point here. So it, if you're saying like one time we heard about this person who sold, grabbed the board and then resold it in the store right away, that's not an unsurprising thing. And so if you're saying like you heard about it once, like that's actually, in my head, I'm thinking like that's actually pretty good. Because like I could see that happening like every hour.
Yeah, no, that's an opportunity for free money right there.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I will say convention wise, I think the last thing we have to talk about is the other TCG stuff, right? We went through Pocket, Unite, Go, and then the final announcement was like the physical TCG stuff. I think. Oh well, TCG and then the next locations.
Yeah, the next location. Those are important.
I think like this Worlds was pretty flaw free. Besides like the Pokemon Center stuff was actually like the biggest like complaint, but we just talked about why that was. The venue itself was like smaller, and I think a year ago when I recorded in Yokohama at like 4 a.m. and I don't even know what time it was for you guys. It was like 6 a.m. or something. I don't when we did that recording.
Yeah.
And they announced Hawaii. I wasn't initially excited. Because, also bad timing with the fires as well. But I wasn't initially excited because Hawaii has never seemed like I need to go there kind of place. Like there's other places I would like to travel to or other places I would like to return to. But also like logistically, I was like, I don't know how you make Worlds bigger and bigger every year after Japan. Like all of Yokohama was Pikachu-fied.
Yeah.
And it seemed like
And-
it was pretty big in London too.
Yeah,
There
I mean,
was-
the Excel Center is gigantic.
And that was
Yeah.
first year back, right? After 2 years out.
Yeah.
So like that was just huge in its own.
I think things to do wise, I think there was probably more in Hawaii. It was pretty much broken up into two things. There was the like Hilton Hawaiian Village was like one section of Worlds, and then there was the Convention Center Park, and they did a really good job with like I think they had 8 trolleys running between the two, which was free for anyone. And if you were on the trolley, it would take I think I timed it. It would be about 6 to 7 minutes depending on traffic to get between the two, and they were running nonstop. I don't think I've ever waited more than 5 minutes for a trolley to show up. And if you walked between the two, it was about 15 minutes walking. And that was actually an official route by Niantic to go from the convention
Nice.
to the Hawaiian Hilton area. And I think like it was definitely like no debate so much smaller than Japan, because you could probably do everything if you sped run it, like maybe not the Pokemon Center, but like besides the Pokemon Center, you could probably like do everything within a couple hours. Where like Japan,
wow.
it felt like
Wow.
Japan, it felt like there was so much to do that you couldn't do it all, and then the next day you would be like, I didn't even know that was happening, or I didn't even know
Yeah.
that was there.
Yeah.
Yeah. In
where
Japan,
it
it sounded like
was-
you couldn't get it all into one weekend.
Yeah, they had a map this time, and it was super laid out. From what I've been told, the part of the reasons for this was Japan was run by the Pokemon Company, and
Right.
this was run by the Pokemon Company International.
Mhm.
So there
Mhm.
is different logistics in that. The map was really great. They had plenty of meet and greets. They had a drone show every night, which was like not every night. There was drone show, fireworks, drone show. Absolutely fantastic. I've been told that they just do fireworks on Friday nights at that specific resort.
Got it.
It's just every Friday night. Apparently they do it. They had like the top 100 illustrator room, which is super cool.
Saw that.
They had a museum room of like old Worlds merchandise, which was fantastic.
That's really cool.
That's
They
awesome.
had the Genki ballroom, which was Pokemon partnering with Genki, and their goal was to. So I wish I could explain. I'm gonna not sell this as good as I should, but ultimately, what they do is they take mud or trash and they squish it into like a ball, and then something happens. That's the part I can't explain. But then they throw it into the ocean or they throw it into water, and good probiotic, good bacteria gets released and then cleans the water. So you could go in and make a mud ball, and they had like little shapes so you can actually make a Pokeball mud ball. And they made 3,000 of them within 48 hours. And then on Saturday evening, they had people who wanted to line up the canal, and then we all threw the mud balls into the canal to help clean the canal.
That's wild.
Okay.
Yeah, it was really cool. And again, I feel like I've explained it poorly, but it was a good thing for the environment and the water.
Yeah, that part made sense. It's wild. It's not something I've seen before, but that at least.
Yes,
tracks.
if you were to like, maybe I'll highlight the section of my Twitch VOD where they're like actually explaining it properly, because I like recorded that, and then you can see everyone throw it in the water at the same time. It was like really, really cool.
That's cool.
When she explained it, it was very long-winded. She was very passionate about it, but she kept talking and talking, and then everyone's like, we just want to throw the balls. Watching like 100 people throw mud balls at the same time and into the water was very cool. It was awesome. The whole event was good, and I think I probably have to formulate more thoughts about it, but really I was like thinking of like what like went wrong or what like didn't feel right. I guess you could complain that it was like smaller, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because at the same time I like
bad thing. No.
like I felt like I did everything and that felt good. versus Japan, where I felt like, gosh, I wish somebody told me this was happening. Because like if I knew, I would have done it. And now I feel kind of like I missed out on something cool because like I just didn't know it existed.
Yeah.
Right.
We knew that the 2026 date was or the location was revealed because some guy just was
Some
casually
employee.
said it. Some
Yeah.
employee said it to a reporter. And so they announced next year's location. So 2025 will be in Anaheim. And at the same time, they were also like, you know what? We're going to give you 2026 as well, which is San
Yep.
Francisco, which we knew, which was a crazy good power play by them.
Yeah.
But then to top it off, they gave us dates for
Yes.
both locations.
Which is
So-
incredible.
Which is awesome.
They're both in August. Do we have the dates available right here?
The next year is the 15th. It's August 15th through the 17th.
Does it being in California, that's easy for Bobby. Super easy for Bobby. Hannah,
yeah, I'm
does
loving
being in
this.
California make
This
that
is-
easy?
Wonderful.
It's not particularly close in California. California is a big state. It's
Yeah.
still not a super close flight, but it's fine. I mean, it's basically Disneyland land as far as I can tell. That's the only reason I ever hear about Anaheim.
That is
Next
all
year.
there. It's in Orange County, right between Los Angeles and San Diego.
Yeah.
And it's Disneyland. I mean, that's why everybody goes to Anaheim.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Sounds busy, sounds expensive.
well, it's
Can't be
Disneyland is
expensive, as
expensive,
expensive
but
as Hawaii.
Anaheim is not that expensive compared
Really?
to Los Angeles.
Okay,
or
I'm one of those kids who
San
never went to
Francisco.
Disneyland, so I don't know how expensive things are.
So Disneyland itself is expensive, but Anaheim, there's a lot of area around Disneyland that Anaheim encompasses. So I mean, there's plenty of places to stay. I don't remember if they didn't say where in Anaheim it was going to be, right?
They zoomed in
I think
on
they
the
zoomed
stadium.
into the convention center, but I didn't see the name.
Yeah.
There's
If
only
it's
one
the
convention
Anaheim
center.
Convention
in
Center,
Anaheim.
then that's right near Disneyland. So,
Yeah,
but
you would know better than us, Bobby. I don't think I've been.
you've been to Anaheim because you've been to Downtown Disney this year.
Oh, is that where that was?
Yes.
Okay,
That was the gates of Disneyland. We stood out the side of Disneyland and took a picture.
we did. Oh yeah,
Right between California Adventure and Disneyland. We took a
I guess I
picture
just
with
assumed that was like. I didn't know that was Anaheim.
yeah, that's the Anaheim. That's
It's
the
all
Anaheim.
kind of crammed into one place there, I feel like, when you look at it on a map.
Yeah,
When you are not familiar with the area and you're all zoomed out because it's a really big area, everything's right next to each other.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, but yeah, you were there, Steve. So you
Okay,
get to
okay.
Anaheim.
Okay. We're very limited on time. We've hit our hour threshold. There was the TCG announcement where they announced the trainer cards, which I think we kind of knew were coming based off some Japanese stuff, and then the Team Rocket stuff they kind of hinted at the very end. There will probably be actually an official press release the next time we record that we can go through. But the Pokemon Company got me this room last minute because of the Ethernet internet situation. And now they're trying to shut down the convention. So I actually cannot talk any longer. I have to go. But anything we did not talk about, I promise we will talk about next week in next week's episode. So overall, really great worlds. I really appreciate Pokemon for bringing me out. I appreciate you guys staying up late to chit chat. And I now have to quickly panic edit this episode and hope my internet can upload it before 6 a.m. So that's the plan.
Yeah.
And I will see you guys next week. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Hannah. This has been another episode of the Pokemon Podcast, and we are
Super effective.
Super. Don't forget to redeem the world's distribution if you're listening to this on Monday. Effective.
Sylvia.